One superstar actress called her co-star absolutely disgusting, and another referred to his co-star as an Irish drunken bully.
And he took a modern, glass-blown ashtray. He threw it at my face.
These are movie stars who absolutely hate each other. And there's no better way to kick things off than with Bill Murray and the co-stars who couldn't stand him. On screen, Murray is known as one of Hollywood's most lovable, quirky stars. However, behind his charming persona, there's another side of Murray that's raised eyebrows over the years, especially when it comes to his on-set behavior. One of the biggest stars to speak out about Murray's attitude is actor Richard Dreyfuss, who worked with the comedy legend on the movie What About Bob? In a 2019 interview, Dreyfuss spoke openly about the confrontation they had on set.
Bill just got drunk at dinner. He was an Irish drunken bully. He walked in and I said, "Read this. I think it's really funny." And he put his face next to me, nose to nose, and he screamed at the top of his lungs, "Everyone hates you. You are tolerated." There was no time to react because he leaned back and he took a modern, glass-blown ashtray. He threw it at my face and he missed me.
If there's anything more intense than this, it has to be the feud between Casey Wilson and Tim Allen. The Santa Claus was a feel-good holiday hit, bringing festive cheer with solid performances from its cast. But behind the scenes, things were far from jolly, particularly between co-stars Casey Wilson and Tim Allen. Wilson has since described the filming of the movie as the single worst experience she'd had with a co-star ever. Luckily for us, Wilson didn't shy away from sharing the details in an interview with TMZ.
Tim Allen was such a bitch.
Wait, for
it was
real?
the worst, truly single worst experience I've ever had with a co-star ever. And then he goes over to the producer, who is standing 4 feet from me. He just walks over and he goes, and I basically hear him. He goes, "You gotta tell her to stop stepping on my lines." The producer turns to me with horror on his face and has to walk 1 foot to me. And he goes, "Tim would ask that you stop stepping on his lines." It was like everybody was walking on eggshells around him. People just looked like frantic. And when he was done, he was fucking rude.
Similarly, the 1994 romantic comedy I Love Trouble was supposed to be a lighthearted, star-powered film. But behind the scenes, it turned into a notorious clash of egos between its lead actors, Nick Nolte and Julia Roberts. While the movie itself is largely forgotten today, the tension between the two co-stars became legendary. Roberts, who had become a major Hollywood star after Pretty Woman, didn't exactly mesh with Nolte's rough macho persona. Nolte, in turn, wasn't impressed by Roberts' rising fame. Their relationship quickly soured, and according to a Los Angeles Times report, the pair ended up working more with their stand-ins than each other. In fact, in an interview with the New York Times before the film's release, Roberts didn't hold back when she called Nolte completely disgusting. Another iconic pair that brought romance to life on screen but couldn't stand each other off screen were Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams during the making of The Notebook. While the movie may be the epitome of romance, things were far from smooth for its two lead actors behind the cameras. At first, everything seemed fine, but as production went on, the tension between Gosling and McAdams started to build. The two actors began to clash more and more. Their bickering grew to the point where it became impossible to ignore. During one intense scene, Gosling called the director, expressed his frustration, and suggested that another actress read lines with him off camera. McAdams was clearly not pleased with this idea. To resolve the tension, the director decided to step in and called the pair into a private meeting. The shouting could be heard outside the room, but when they emerged, the mood on set had lightened and production continued. Surprisingly, despite their earlier fallout, Gosling and McAdams ended up dating for a while after the film wrapped. While these two went from hating each other to being in love, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard went from being Hollywood's cutest couple to this.
To me, he says, "Oh yeah, I hit you, huh? I hit you, yeah?" And he just feels like whacks me on top of my head. Just this heavy ringed hand landed on top of my skull, grabs me by the hair again.
Depp and Heard's story started like a classic Hollywood romance. but it quickly spiraled into one of the most high-profile celebrity battles in recent memory. The pair met in 2011 on the set of the Rum Diary. At the time, Depp was in a long-term relationship with French actress and musician Vanessa Paradis, and Heard was with photographer Tasia Van Ree. But both later admitted that the chemistry between them was undeniable. After Depp split from Paradis, the relationship with Heard took off. By 2015, they exchanged vows in an intimate ceremony on Depp's private island. But the fairy tale ended just 15 months later. In May 2016, Heard filed for divorce and claimed that Depp had physically abused her, obtaining a temporary restraining order in the process. Depp vehemently denied the accusations, but his image took a severe hit. Of course, whispers of abuse turned into headlines, and Depp's career began to unravel. The duo's divorce was finalized in 2017, with Heard receiving a $7 million settlement. However, the battle was far from over. In March 2019, Depp escalated the conflict by suing Heard for defamation, setting off a courtroom drama that left the world speechless.
She threw the large bottle, and it made contact and shattered. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed.
And he yanks my hair back. I'm trying to prevent him from landing the blows to my face. I'm trying to prevent my face from being exposed.
After a courtroom battle that felt ripped from a Hollywood thriller, Depp ultimately won his defamation case against Heard. But victory didn't bring peace. It left the two locked in a grudge match for the ages. However, Depp and Heard aren't the only sworn enemies to emerge from Hollywood drama. Will Smith and Chris Rock also kicked off a feud with one of the most shocking moments in live TV history. It all went down at the 2022 Oscars. The event seemed like business as usual until Chris Rock, who was presenting the award for Best Documentary, joked about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it, all right?
Even Will Smith chuckled for a moment. But when Pinkett Smith's eye roll registered, the mood flipped, and so did the night.
Richard! Oh, wow! Wow!
Keep my wife's name out your mouth!
I'm going to, okay?
And when you put two powerhouse personalities like Bette Davis and Faye Dunaway on the same set, sparks are bound to fly, and not in a good way. During the 1970s filming of The Disappearance of Amy, these two icons went from co-stars to combatants in record time. On one hand, Davis ran a tight ship and prioritized punctuality. Faye Dunaway, on the other hand, often showed up late and ill-prepared despite being one of the hottest stars of the era. Over time, Dunaway's nonchalant attitude drove Davis up the wall. However, the powder keg exploded when the dangerous star made an appearance on The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson back in 1988.
Worst people you know in Hollywood.
That I worked with?
Or that you wouldn't want to work with again. If you don't have to comment on that.
$1 million, Faye Dunaway. Everybody you can put into this chair will tell you exactly the same thing. She's very unprofessional.
I see.
Difficult woman, really.
Similarly, Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker of Sex and the City fame just couldn't see eye to eye. On screen, Cattrall and Parker were the epitome of friendship. The duo's characters were glamorous, loyal, and inseparable. But behind the scenes, their relationship was a far cry from the sisterhood they portrayed. Cattrall accused Parker of being cruel to her during the show's run and of creating a toxic work environment. And in 2017, Cattrall ended the speculation with a brutal reality check.
I just wish that Sarah had been nicer.
Do you think you'll ever talk to her again? If Sarah Jessica Parker watches this, what would your message to her be?
I think it's pretty clear.
Another brutal reality check hit the world when the feud between Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson hit the news. The whole thing kicked off in August 2016, when The Rock posted a now-deleted Instagram message. While praising his female co-stars, he took aim at certain male co-stars, calling them candy asses. Though he never named names, it was widely assumed he was referring to Vin Diesel. The Rock later confirmed the tension in an interview, revealing that their issues had been simmering for months. Vin Diesel responded to the brewing feud in April 2017. However, the actor tried to downplay the conflict by chalking it up to their different approaches to work. But despite his attempts to ease the situation, the tension between them was palpable. The fallout from their conflict ultimately led to The Rock stepping away from the main Fast and Furious franchise, while focusing on the spin-off film Hobbs & Shaw in 2019. While some Hollywood rivalries are slow-burn dramas that unravel over years, others ignite on set like a powder keg. Unfortunately, the clash between Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey during the making of Batman Forever falls squarely into the latter category. In the 1995 Joel Schumacher-directed, Tim Burton-produced blockbuster, Carrey took on the role of the eccentric Riddler, while Jones embodied the menacing Harvey Two-Face Dent. On screen, the film was a whirlwind of neon chaos and campy villainy. Off-screen, however, the chemistry between Jones and Carrey was anything but dynamic. Jones found Carrey's manic humor insufferable. The tension festered quietly during production, but the truth didn't surface until Carrey later spilled the tea about an awkward encounter on Norm Macdonald Live.
And I went over and I said, oh yeah, great. I went over and I said, hey Tommy, how you doing? Like that, and the blood just drained from his face. And he started shaking, and he got up and he went like this. He must have been in mid-kill me fantasy or something like that. He was like like this, and he went like to hug me, and he said, I hate you. I really don't like you. Like that.
On the bright side, at least things didn't get as ugly as it did between LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx. Before the Oscar wins and blockbuster hits, Jamie Foxx was just another talented performer hustling to make his mark in Hollywood. Luckily, the actor's breakthrough came in 1999 when Oliver Stone cast him in Any Given Sunday. The gritty football drama finally put Foxx in the spotlight, but the ride to success wasn't exactly smooth, and the tension on set felt just as intense as the action on screen. One moment in particular captured that friction perfectly. During a heated scene, LL Cool J reached right past Al Pacino and delivered a smack to Fox's face to make a point. And from that moment, it all went south.
You clock him in the face?
Yeah, and we was clocking each other. It was
and you
crazy.
Didn't pass out or anything? You
no, I
stood
didn't
your
pass
ground.
out. I mean, you know, it was crazy. But now when we see each other, we laugh and shit. But on that set, everybody was fighting.
It's an unbelievable story.
Similarly, Rip Torn and Norman Mailer allowed their hate for each other spill into their on-screen characters in a way that will be remembered for generations. While Norman Mailer was primarily celebrated for his literary genius, he wasn't afraid to experiment with filmmaking. By the late 60s, Mailer had dipped his toes into cinema with unconventional projects like Wild 90 and Beyond the Law. However, his most talked about film from that period was the 1970 project Maidstone. This chaotic production brought together an eclectic cast, including Rip Torn and Andy Warhol's muse, Ultraviolet, with Mailer himself playing a famous director. The plot followed a bizarre spiral of events as the filmmaker's friends, family, and entourage conspired to murder him. Though it was Mailer's most ambitious film up to that point, the production was anything but organized. There was no script, no clear direction, and the actors were largely left to figure things out on their own. The chaos boiled over in a now infamous scene where Rip Torn, who played Mailer's brother-in-law, was assigned to kill him. With no real guidance on how to approach the scene, Torn's frustration with Mailer's vague direction reached its breaking point, and he decided to take matters into his own hands.
Supposed to die. You want me to kill Kingsley? You must die, not Mailer. Not Mailer. I don't want to kill Mailer, but I must kill Kingsley.
Hey! Will you cut this fucking idiot out?
Surprisingly, the fight was used as evidence in Torn's case against Dennis Hopper, who claimed that Torn attacked him with a knife. Torn won his case with the argument that he couldn't have killed Hopper because he was on the set of Maidstone trying to kill Mailer. This video would be incomplete without talking about the tension between Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, which was ignited during the filming of Mad Max: Fury Road.
Hi. Did you witness any beef between Charlize and Tom Hardy on the set of Mad Max?
Huh. Yeah.
They were, I mean, it was reported that they didn't get along.
Yeah, they didn't get along.
Yeah.
They didn't get along.
As the story goes, Theron found Hardy's unpredictable and nonchalant behavior unsettling. However, things hit a boiling point when Hardy arrived on set 3 hours late one day, despite being specifically asked to be on time. Theron, already in full costume and makeup, had been waiting for hours and finally confronted Hardy. The argument quickly escalated into an intense shouting match, making the atmosphere on set even more strained. And unfortunately, the tension not only affected their relationship, but also the overall vibe for the rest of the cast and crew. So there you have it. If you like this story, then please comment below or just like and subscribe so you never miss another video from Project Hysteria.